What's up guys, my name is Ryan and I recently returned from going on a safari throughout Tanzania and I want to share with you my tips and experiences, so here's my Serengeti travel guide. Going on a safari to Africa is one of the most incredible things to experience, and I think that there's no better place to see Africa's wildlife than in the Serengeti. Located in northern Tanzania, the Serengeti is home to just about every animal you'd expect to find on a safari. From massive herds of wildebeest during the Great Migration to prides of lions relaxing on Kopjes, there's nowhere on earth quite like the Serengeti. If you're like me, the thought of going to Africa and on a safari can be a little intimidating at first, but I want to do my best to explain how to do it. Before I come to Tanzania, I highly recommend finding a guide who will arrange your trip and make the whole process super smooth. They can pick you up from the airport and handle all the logistics and planning of your time in Tanzania. Both times that I've used safari goats. My friend Eddie runs the company and he has safaris ranging from low budget to luxury. My friend Fahad also helped us out on this last trip and his safari company is called Malele. Whoever you decide to go with, it's just nice to have an experienced guide who knows how to drive in the bush, and you don't have to worry about finding places to stay or where to eat. And also, all the fees to get into places like the Serengeti are a little confusing, so your guide should have all that figured out. Now once you find a guide, let's talk about how you actually get to the Serengeti. First, you'll fly into Tanzania, and I've always flown into the Kilimanjaro airport. From there, your guide can pick you up, and I usually stay the first night in Arusha. It's this really beautiful city at the base of Mount Meru. Last time I was there, we stayed at the Sana Boutique Hotel, and it was just super nice and really comfortable rooms. Now to get to the Serengeti, you can either take a flight on a small plane or you can also drive. I've driven both times, and even though it's a fairly long 6 to 7 hour drive on bumpy roads, I think it's a great way to see the landscapes and wildlife of Tanzania. From Arusha, you'll drive about 2.5 hours on paved roads, and then you'll reach the gates of Ngorongoro. From here, the paved road ends and it's all dirt to the Serengeti. Now the Ngorongoro Conservation Area is absolutely incredible, and once you pass those gates, your chances of seeing wildlife drastically improve. Ngorongoro is home to a crater which is 16 kilometers wide, and it's the biggest intact caldera in the world, and it's home to one of the highest densities of big game in all of Africa. Inside the crater, you'll find Africa's Big Five, which are the elephant, buffalo, rhino, leopard, and lion. The crater has created one of the most unique ecosystems on Earth because there's these huge volcanic walls that act as a barrier, and there's just so much wildlife inside the crater. Now while you're driving to the Serengeti, you can decide to just stop at a lookout on the crater's rim, or you can also stay a day or two. If you can, I definitely recommend spending at least a day exploring the crater. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. We stayed at Lion's Paw Resort for a few nights. It's located on the northeastern rim of the crater, and we stayed in these private cabins overlooking Ngorongoro, and it was just absolutely amazing. We spent 2 days exploring the crater, and some of my favorite animals to see were the massive elephants in the marshes just grazing. I mean, they were just so huge and had massive tusks. Another thing that is special about Ngorongoro crater is that it's home to black rhinos, which are amongst some of the most rare animals in Tanzania, and it was so cool to see them. We even came across a mom and baby rhino. Aside from the crater, there's some really interesting places to visit in the Ngorongoro Conservation Area, so I'll have to make a video just on Ngorongoro in the future. Anyways, after we finished exploring the crater, I loved driving up the road that winded up the steep volcanic walls. It's one of the few paved roads in the park. Now from there, it was about a 2-hour drive to reach the main gate of the Serengeti. After it, you'll drive to Nabi Hill, and this is where your guide will pay the park's fee to enter. I'm not gonna lie, the Serengeti isn't cheap, especially for foreigners. During the peak season, it's about $82 to enter the park per person, and then if you spend the night, it's another $71 a day per person, and then there's vehicle fees on top of that, but your guide should let you know how much it all costs beforehand. As for accommodation within the park, you have a lot of options ranging from budget to higher end luxury. On the affordable side, we stayed at the Serengeti Safari Haven. It's a series of nice tents right in the bush. The interior of the tents were amazing and had such comfortable beds. If you want to stay at a place like this, expect to spend around $200 a night, depending on the season. I mean, this place was awesome. I remember driving into the camp and we saw several lions just a few minutes away. At night, you could hear the wildebeest and other animals near the tents, and when we woke up, there was lion prints on the dirt walkways. I mean, you're really in the heart of the Serengeti, and there's no fences or anything to keep the wildlife out. It definitely adds to the adventure. If you're looking for a more higher end place, you could stay at the Serengeti Semetu. It's located in the central Serengeti, and this place was super beautiful. You'll have your own private house with beautiful views looking out to the savannah. While we were there, the migration was running right by the lodge, and there was thousands of wildebeest and zebras nearby. I mean, it was so fun to just sit outside and hear the sounds of the wildebeest and zebras. Now on the luxury end, you could consider staying at the Four Seasons. We stayed here both times when we came to the Serengeti, and this place is a piece of paradise. It's situated in this green wonderland full of trees and so many animals. When you arrive to the lodge, you enter the gates and you're greeted by a Maasai warrior who escorts you to your room. He was telling us how sometimes animals would jump up on the boardwalk, which I thought was so cool. I mean, the room was amazing, and from the deck I could see animals such as zebras, Cape buffalo, and impalas. Now if you really want to spend some money, you could get the private villa, which is massive and it has its own pool and deck, and it's just an epic place. Now I think the highlight of the Four Seasons is its pool area. There is a water hole in front of the pool that attracts the wildlife. I remember seeing pictures of people in the pool with elephants in the background, and that's what made me want to come here. Since it was the rainy season, a lot of animals didn't need the water as much. I guess a ton of animals come to the water hole to get a drink. Overall, what I loved about the Four Seasons was how integrated it was with nature. Whether you were walking to your room or just relaxing on your deck, you were bound to see some animals. I mean, if you're looking for a place to stay on the luxury end, I definitely recommend the Four Seasons. Now while you're in the Serengeti, one activity you should consider is doing a balloon safari. There's a few companies you can go with. The first time we went with Serengeti Balloon Safari, and then this year we did a Miracle Balloon Safari, and they were both amazing. Now to reach the balloons, we woke up at 4 a.m. and drove to the launch site. They were filling the balloons up with hot air, and I just couldn't believe how big it was. The basket holds 16 passengers. You start with the basket laying flat on the ground, and then you get in, and as the balloon fills up with air, the basket slowly rotates into the upright position. They kept shooting fire into the balloon and we were off. Once you're in the air, it's the weirdest sensation because it's absolutely silent except for the sound of the fire heating the air. I mean, it's the coolest thing to look for animals on the savannah. We would ascend and descend depending if there were animals. We saw some wildebeest, cheetahs, zebras, and lions during our time. Now at the very end of the tour, we got pretty high up and could see an incredible 360 view of the Serengeti. Shout out to my friend Ellis for getting some epic FPV shots of the balloon. When we landed, I was scared we were going to tip, but thankfully it wasn't windy and we had a smooth landing. They celebrated with some champagne or juice with the captain, and then we had a luxury breakfast. Honestly, it's such an amazing experience, and if you can, I highly recommend doing it while you're in the Serengeti. Now, one of the main reasons that the Serengeti is so famous is for its great migration. It's the annual migration of over 1.5 million wildebeest and 400,000 zebras, and it's the greatest land migration of animals on Earth. The migration happens year-round as the wildebeest and zebras search for food on the Serengeti plains. The animals work together because the wildebeest have a great sense of smell and they can smell where the rain is, while the zebras have incredible memory and also great eyesight to spot predators. The wildebeest and zebra generally move in a clockwise rotation starting in the southern Serengeti during the months of January and then making their way up to the northern Serengeti and into Kenya's Masai Mara during the summer months. So it's great that it's happening year round, and depending where you are at, you can witness millions of animals running across the plains. One of the most famous events of the Great Migration is the river crossings, where huge herds wait to cross the Mara River while there are hungry crocodiles waiting below. To see the wildebeest crossing the rivers, it's best to come around the months of July to October. Now when we came, it was the rainy season, and one of the most memorable moments was when we came across this massive group during sunset. From the sky, they looked like just a bunch of ants leading to the center of the group, and when we reached the end of the herd, it was just this massive ball of tens of thousands of wildebeest. I mean, I couldn't believe what we were seeing. Nature is just something else. Now the best way to see the Great Migration and the Serengeti in general is by going on game drives. Every day we would wake up and be out from sunrise to sunset, witnessing so many incredible moments. One thing that I thought was so interesting about the Serengeti was that it had different areas with certain types of landscapes and wildlife. For example, there was this one place that had termite mounds and just long grass, and that's where we saw a majority of the cheetahs. There was also the swampy area, and that's where there was these huge groups of hippos. One of my favorite features of the Serengeti was the Kopjes. There are these stone islands, and there was always lions on them. I mean, just imagine Pride Rock from The Lion King, but this is real life. One of my favorite experiences was watching this group of lions just chilling on top of the rock, and then out of nowhere all these cubs just came out, and it was just cool to watch the mom and the cubs interact with each other. Now since we were there during the rainy season, we had some massive thunderstorms almost every day. They make for some of the most epic scenery, but it's also a little terrifying when it starts to rain and you get deep in the bush and you have to try not to get stuck on the muddy roads. One time we went to go see this lion that was chilling on top of a tree, and there was this massive thunderstorm coming in. We underestimated how bad that storm was, and we almost got stuck, but our guide Eddie is the best driver in Tanzania, and he got us out safely. As we were driving back to the Four Seasons, we found ourselves experiencing the craziest sunset. There was a fireball in the sky with huge lightning bolts striking the Serengeti, and to make it even better, there was a herd of zebras just grazing in front of it, and I seriously can't believe the conditions we got. It was the perfect way to end our time at the Serengeti. Well, that is it for my Tanzania safari guide. I hope it helps in planning your African safari. I mean, Tanzania is one of my favorite places in the world, and I just keep wanting to come back. Special thanks again to my buddy Eddie with Safari Goats. He made both trips unforgettable. I'll link their website in the description, and you can book a trip with them if you decide to go to Tanzania. Also thanks to my friend Fahad. He's a great guide and incredible photographer and super knowledgeable when it comes to photographing animals. Also, huge shout out to my buddy Ellis Van Jason. He's one of the world's best FPV pilots, and it was incredible traveling with him and seeing him in the field. He made a phenomenal video about our time in Africa that I'll link in the description. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at shirley.films. It's Ryan, and we will see you later.